Thank you for listening to The Pain of the Claim, your source for prescription strength claim relief. And now, your hosts, Jeremy and Donna Lavelle.
Welcome to the Pain of the Claim podcast. I am Jeremy Lavelle with Remedy Claims Consulting, joined as always with the beautiful Donna Lavelle, my wife. I'd always doing everything she can to make sure that I stay in line because God knows I truly need the help. Say hi, Donna.
Like a child. Hi.
We have an incredible lineup for you today on this brand new format that we are working with.
Premiere episode.
It is the premiere episode.
The premiere episode. Well, the premiere relaunch episode.
And so we went to great expense and great effort. And by great effort, I mean sent a text message to get the awesome Jackie and TJ Ware. Guys, welcome to the Pain of the Claim. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Jeremy.
So, Donna, take us away. What are we going to be talking about today?
So other people probably already know, but I don't, and I'm nosy. So I want to know, like, how you guys met, how you started doing what you're doing. And then after that, we'll talk about, you know.
What comes next?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
They're working on this stuff.
So tell us.
Well, okay,
Tell us everything.
So we're both from Dallas-Fort Worth, and I went into the Marine Corps shortly after 9/11.
Cool.
And I was back in Fort Worth. It was in the beginning of 2003. And I went into a restaurant. It was actually a Hooters restaurant. And struck up a conversation with my waitress. And we hit it off. And here we are 20 years later.
Awesome.
That is so cool. That is crazy. I had no idea.
He was hooked on the free beer and oysters. So.
Yeah, that's I would be too. That would definitely be me. I spent my fair share being hooked on those very same things. In fact, I got so good at it, I've retired.
Good.
So
I've never had oysters before. Don't want to.
Oh, oysters are amazing.
They're like loogies or something. I don't know.
Well, no, I mean, do you put the sauce in them or do you just hit them raw?
We eat them a lot of different ways, depending on where. So we're kind of like oyster aficionados. And as we travel around the country following hurricanes, we get to indulge in the different varieties, places that oysters come from.
Okay. So there's different kinds?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So some of them are little and briny, and they're kind of salty. And so you don't need sauce, I don't think, or a cracker. But the ones from the Gulf, they're like ginormous loogies. And you do need a cracker and sauce. You do need.
So what I would do, like I didn't have any problem. I just would clear them out, like the big ones, like the Gulf ones or whatever. Put a little bit of sauce. Definitely it's going to have something with some like horseradish in it or whatever because I love that burn. You know what I mean? I love oysters. I'll eat them like nobody's business.
So next time, if we're ever in the same city, you'll need to tell us where to go and we can meet and eat some oysters.
Well,
definitely.
I'll try one.
And so I love them, but I mean, and I'll eat them just right out of the shell. I mean, really and truly, I don't have to have, but I mean, it's really more the process that I enjoy so much. You get the big, huge plate come in, and they're all sitting in ice, and then you get to dress them up. I hardly ever use a cracker though, hardly ever.
So we have to do everything kind of different because you guys know we have a lot of kids.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's another thing I wanted to talk about.
We'll go to a seafood supply or a wholesaler, and we'll go get a couple of bushels, like maybe 200 oysters, and we'll bring them home, and the kids will stock them and serve them.
Oh, cool.
And they get to eat about half of them, so it's pretty cool.
Nice.
That's the cost-effective way to do oysters for the family. If we went to the restaurant, they'd probably just ask us to leave.
No,
they wouldn't. Because it would cost like $900.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it's like on a Sunday afternoon when you guys walk in from church or whatever, and it's like, table for 12, please. And they're used to that on a Sunday, right? But they didn't realize that it was 2 adults.
Every night we'd ever want to go out, it's a minimum of 12 people. That's assuming there's no one extra. So.
Oh, my gosh. I barely like the 4 kids that I have. I just barely. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and I mean, do y'all have a set of
Wait.
What? Go ahead.
I'm still wanting to know that. So they met at Hooters.
They met at Hooters. Okay.
And then all of a sudden, 10 kids. There's other stuff.
Well, that's what I was going to kind of ask. I mean, so did you not get to 5 and go, man, That's
I
just
want to
not
know
enough.
how long were you married before you had the first one?
Probably 6 months.
Really? And then you
Yeah,
just
so-
loved it so much that you just had to keep having them?
Okay, so to be honest,
Yeah.
we had our first 4 kids on 4 different methods of birth control, including the IUD.
No way.
Yeah. And at that point, we're like, you know what? I guess it's just meant
By
for
the-
us to have a big family.
Yeah, by the fifth
Yeah.
one, we just kind of embraced it.
Now, by the 6th one, I was kind of in between things, and I was starting to feel the financial pressure.
Mhm.
And since then, there has been a significant amount of pressure that has come with every additional kid, and to the point that even with this last one, I finally got it taken care of. So that's
Oh, I was going to
officially
say, you
me.
know
I
how
was-
that happens, right?
There's medical procedures that will stop it. Of course.
Now,
that-
it is not 100% is what they told us, but he did do all of his follow-ups that he was supposed to do, so we should be in the clear, hopefully.
Cool.
awesome.
So, what are all the kids' names and ages?
Asher, Isaac, Ethan, Shiloh, Seth, Cana, Judah, Silas, Hallie, and Titus.
Not
Wow.
backwards. Is that from eight?
Asher's
Is that
our oldest.
Uh-huh.
He's 18. Titus is 1.
Titus
And
is
there-
1. Okay.
Everything in between.
So y'all just had him when we were at y'all's place back. Was that June or July when
It
y'all
was
had a
summer.
barbecue?
Yeah, you know, he was born a few days after Hurricane Ida hit New Orleans.
Okay.
And I even made it home from Iraq before my oldest son was born. But I got stuck in New Orleans, and she had an emergency C-section, and I missed the birth of my youngest.
Oh no.
Oh wow, wow. That's so. How long were you? How long were you in the Marine Corps?
I was in the Marine Corps just under 4 years.
Just under
And I was
4 years.
deployed-
Okay.
I went overseas in 2004, and I was in a rocket attack in western Iraq in March of 2004, and I ended up getting medically retired in November of 2005.
Was that against your will?
No, it wasn't. You know, it was a pretty rough experience that I had gone through, and I had a young family, and so you know, I was okay with moving on to a different phase of my life.
Awesome. I was in the United States Air Force during the first Gulf War, and I got out. Yeah, it was right around just short of 4 years is how long I was in there. And but I appreciate your service. Thank you so much, sir.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Yeah, same to you.
man. I can't tell you. I didn't really much think about my military service. You know, obviously, I got the little tinge that hit me on September 11th, 2001, because I was ready just to go kick some ass. It's sort of that thing rose up in me, you know what I mean? And I wasn't quite 30 yet, and so I hadn't been out that long, and that rose up in me, and I really wanted to go after something at that point in time because the memories were still really, really fresh, and but other than that, it had just kind of faded away over the years because it's been 30 years nearly since I was in the military, and it just sort of faded away. And when I met Donna 4 or 5 years ago, when I met her, she thought it was just like this great big huge thing, and I hadn't thought anything of it. And I was not all that impressed with it. I would never park in veteran parking, and she just started encouraging me
I was like,
to
what you did is not nothing.
so.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it, and you did it for a lot of people that wouldn't. So
Well,
Both.
but again, I know what that life is like. I know what it looks like, and I really do, because it is a sacrifice above and beyond bullets whizzing past your head. Just the general day-to-day life is a sacrifice to be a part of the United States military, and so I really do appreciate it, TJ, and I will always say that to people who did it. So,
Yeah.
So,
Anyway. Go ahead.
I can't think of what else I want to know. Oh, so you said you had a C-section. You don't
did.
have a scar.
I
Believe
do.
me, I looked.
She
I do.
paused and zoomed.
I was like, there's got to be a flaw somewhere.
Oh, stop. Don't worry.
It's pretty small, but that's the only C-section she had on
Oh, really?
number 10.
Wow, and
Yeah,
no
all
stretch
that.
marks?
Yeah, there's a few of those.
I looked. I didn't
have
see
more
any.
stretch marks than she has.
So people are wanting to know, did you sell your soul to the devil? And when I say people, me. Did you sell your soul to the devil to get like a body like that after 10 kids?
No, I stayed home since our oldest was born and really focused on kids and raising kids. And then I guess when did we have 2016 or so, I started working with TJ some, mostly out of desperation from him because he needed help. And over the course of that time up until now, I feel like I've really kind of grown in some of that. During COVID, when we got locked down, I started running. It was the only way I could get out of the house from TJ and the kids for a little bit. And I lost 40 pounds.
Wow.
So now I try to pay more attention to what I eat and try to be more active. But I haven't always been that way.
Oh.
And she's obviously got good genes.
Yes.
Obviously.
So.
And your kids are going to come out pretty awesome. I mean, you both are fit and look good and
they're like
work
Barbie
hard.
And Ken.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, they're the Barbie and Ken of the adjusting world.
Adjusting,
I
they're
agree.
royalty.
I agree. Except for they're both blonde. Ken's dark-headed, and man,
Ken's got blonde hair.
does he have? I don't know. I never played with him. I have no
Depends on
idea.
which version you buy.
So, what kind of when you guys were? And I don't want to jump ahead here. I was just going to kind of.
Well, I was going to ask because I assume that me and you have parallel stuff working with your husband. So what is that like? Because I know what it's like over here. I'm just wondering if it's the same
Probably
over there.
the same.
Well, it's gone through some evolutions for us. It's been okay. It's been wonderful. It's been horrible. And then we're back now to trying to figure out how to make it work.
Yep.
And there's some reasons behind that.
So we got introduced, actually Vince
Yeah.
introduced us to someone who started the personality assessment.
And they've met Eric.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We were talking about
We
it.
were all
He
the.
was
I had
that
no
was a
idea
lot.
what you were talking about. I was like, I have no idea. High C, low A. I'm like,
Yeah, so,
what?
Eric's been a huge part of our life since the latter part of 2020 and helped us to really understand a lot about ourselves and about each other.
Yeah.
And we learned we're very similar. And so through business, TJ would be the idea, the driver behind things, and he just assumed that I was going to be his integrator because I was his wife.
Yeah.
And we've now learned that that is not the role for me, and that's why there was a period of time where it was horrible working together because I'm not well suited for that. He's probably better suited at it than I am. So now we've learned we need assistants. We need people around us that are able to do those things. Mm-hmm. And he and I are starting to learn how to stay in our strengths and in our own lanes.
Yeah.
And do what we're good at.
That was very hard for us too.
For each other.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was my fault. I put her in the wrong position, not understanding where her real strengths were. Mm-hmm. And so we've spent a lot of time and money understanding what our strengths are. And her strengths are completely different than what I assumed that they were. Mm-hmm. So that just shows you that even after 2 decades, you cannot pay attention to who your wife really is.
Yeah.
And if you dig in a little bit deeper, I think that you can find a better value, for them.
Yeah, because I figured we were alike in a lot of ways. Then I saw you in a bikini, and I'm like, damned if we aren't twins. We're like,
I knew it. That's so funny.
So, what do you want?
It's hard working with your husband, though.
Yes.
How does that go for you guys? I mean,
it's been horrible, and it's been good, and we've learned a lot through.
Well, TJ, when you said we went through times when it was really good, and then it was really horrible. And then it got good for a little bit, and then it was kind of normal, and then it was horrible again. You just explained Tuesday. To be honest with you. And I mean, but kind of as we've done it, it's kind of like water that seeks its own level. We've kind of found our own sort of little lane and groove. And much like you, Eric, when I took those assessments, so it was really the assessments that opened my eyes and explained the very reason I'm sitting here in front of you right now on this and even trying to do a podcast at all is as a direct result of the Strength Finder and the Culture Index and those things. And I find them incredibly fascinating. And I am pushing anybody that talks to me about building a business and hiring people. I said, you need to come to terms with something that's very real. People I won't go as far to say is people will lie to you about who they are, but they will tell you the version of themselves they would like
want
to
you to
be
see.
as opposed to the actual version that they are. Do you know what I'm saying? And I am all about aspirations. Nothing against that. I don't want to get in. I'm. It's not shade. It's just sort of like you need to help people figure out who they are and what role to get them in, so they can get to where they want to go. And the whole reason I'm sitting here now is kind of how mine came out. And I'm just like, I had no idea that somebody pulled that. Like one of mine, it's not in the where the low E or the high, I mean, there's certain things about that made a lot of sense, but is it the culture index that kind of gives you?
Which one's the one I got mad at?
Oh, that was the CNET, I think, or
Oh
the
my gosh.
CCAT or something.
I took that
Yeah.
personally because it basically told me that I can be like a receptionist, and I was like, really? That's all it thinks I could do? I was very upset.
That's all you got.
It's harder the longer you've been out of high school. That test gets way harder because
Yeah.
you're not used to doing stuff like that anymore.
Yeah.
Right, and I
Is
mean,
it how fast you answer it, or is it just how do they calculate?
It's how many questions you get right in 15 minutes.
Okay.
so, and I didn't even realize it was timed. I was sitting there, and I didn't even realize it just
didn't.
turned off
Didn't.
on me, and I was sort of like, oh, I didn't know. And so I was going through them, but some of the questions that are hard, you know what I mean? I realized the idea of the test is either you know the answer or you don't. This is not about
Right.
you figuring it out. And
Yeah.
it's like either you know it or you don't. And so that's how
I should have just gone on.
I
'cause
learned
like to
that
read and
really.
make sure I
She
understand.
sat there and tried to solve the problem. And it's like, this is not about problem solving.
But I'm like, don't they want me to know this? I mean, I've got to figure out what the pattern
And
is,
so,
or whatever.
and when you don't get through all of right, Donna. But see,
Yeah.
the thing is they don't see all of the talents.
Yeah.
They
I
don't
wish
get
they told me that before I took it.
So anyway, I mean,
So
like,
the Strength Finder is the one that lists the 34 strengths.
yes. And so
Which
mine,
one was it that you're pulling from that's got you into doing this?
It's the
communication and influence.
yeah.
Yeah.
Those are my top. Those are my
Those are
top
mine.
two.
I don't remember what mine were.
I don't recall what yours.
It was, attention to detail.
There was. I don't remember. I would have to look at her. I don't remember. But it completely changed my whole scope on how I wanted to go into. And so instead of being reluctant or thinking I look stupid or thinking, how to do all of this and becoming. I mean, I'm 50 years old. You know what I mean? And so leaning into it has been a real process. And I can tell you, you can teach old dogs new tricks. You really can.
Takes
And
a long time, but yeah.
Well, and people know me from social media, but I've only been doing social media for just under 3 years.
Really?
And
Right.
it's completely changed my life. Facebook and Facebook groups
Mhm.
allowed us to find so much business growth in 2020.
Yeah.
That was kind of what broke the back of things that we had in place before.
Mhm.
We were able to operate despite not being in our strengths before that because we had we had a lower volume of business.
Yeah.
In 2020, we saw a lot of growth, and that's when it became apparent that we were really in the wrong places. And we got stuck in the middle of a really nasty hurricane
Yeah.
in, southeastern Louisiana.
Yeah.
And it was a challenging time really for the next year.
So did you guys did you always travel with Paradise? Because it seemed to me, and this is just a guess, and I'm not getting into the claims, it's more about the business. How did you get into the niche of multifamily? Because that's mainly what you do is multifamily large loss stuff. Is that right?
Right.
How did you cross that threshold? Because everybody who goes and passes the public adjuster exam would love that gig. And so, and I know there's no real how-to here. I'm just saying, how did it happen for you?
So a couple of things first. I'm more technically proficient than a lot of people realize because I was a licensed electrical contractor for 7 years. I was a roofing contractor. I had a fencing company that I sold in 2008. I've done a lot of different trades and a lot of types of construction. But I realized when it comes to marketing, whatever you market for is what you're going to get. And so that's what I marketed for, and that's what people brought to me. And it's really not a lot more complex than that, to be honest with you.
When did you start seeing an uptick in speaking at all of the different events? Because it seems like to me, anytime we have some kind of industry event, I look up, oh, there's TJ's picture. Yeah, he's speaking at this thing. How did that sort of culminate for you and you become part of the industry and the community. And I love the community that we're in, whether it's Jack or Vince or Cal or you guys or whoever. I just love the community.
I feel like we're one of the good guys. Like,
I really do.
Yeah.
And I think we have I think we could unite even more, just as a personal opinion. But how did that sort of begin to gain traction? Because I'm a communicator. I am more comfortable on stage than I am anywhere else because they're out there. And
so my strengths are there. My top 10 is all strategy and influence.
Uh-huh.
And I started pushing hard on social media at the end of 2019. And then it's just been one big disaster after another that I've been able to work hard and capitalize on and find those opportunities. Also, getting involved in the nonprofit side of things.
Mm-hmm.
I've always done a lot of nonprofit and charity work. And honestly, that gives you different opportunities and it allows you to plug in with important people in important places. And so I look at it as a way that I can serve others and do good and also build my network in a different way than people that aren't doing those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw that you just had a big meeting with the National Association of Attorney Generals, right? That was recent, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah. And I've been to the Capitol Forum in D.C. twice, and then I guess it was the week before last, I met with Mitch McConnell on Capitol Hill as well, and met with the Attorney General of Florida, Ashley Moody, and several other attorneys general, and just trying to kind of work on what's going on in this industry from a very high-level view.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's a lot of progress, but I think there are also a lot of changes in the pipeline.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I so commend the work that you do with the APA. I think that is an incredible, an incredible place to invest yourself and the different stuff, just even on their website. I encourage public adjusters all of the time because I have the opportunity to speak with lots of public adjusters. I do some one-on-one coaching with them. And I encourage them, anytime you get an engineer's report, go to that APA site and upload that engineer's report. Even if you agree with it, just go ahead and because I feel like the bigger database we have of those things, the better handle we get on it. And so my whole thing with, and I'm going to say this one claims thing, if that's okay, it's just about controlling the narrative. Because and that's the point is how do we continue to push the message that is the actual truth.
22 minutes and 47 seconds.
I didn't bring up any one single thing. I just said it's all about controlling the narrative, and that's kind of my byline as far as that goes.
So
but
I want to flip it and have them tell us everything they're doing right now because I'm seeing a lot of videos and you've got the Hurricane Ian show. Start our little.
Which one?
The rigmarole.
Oh, is that what you want to move to that now? Okay.
We're past time. I was trying to get your attention.
Oh, so I did not mean to take over.
I've got like paper. I'm holding it up, and he's like ignoring me. Yay.
There we go.
I'm trying to get my brother's band from the 90s, and I'm using all his music, and I said, I'm going to bring y'all back. So that's why we're using all his music. So anyway, so what do you want people to know that what you're doing right now about anything, whatever?
So when this hurricane was coming in, and I tried to do this in the last storm, I wasn't able to pull it off, but I wanted to create a media network focused on the things going on in this hurricane so that we could help control the narrative down here in Southwest Florida. Mm-hmm. And in some ways it's been successful. In other ways, I didn't realize just how far our opposition had made it when it comes to controlling that narrative. Because when we came into Southwest Florida, people were very standoffish. The government officials were calling public adjusters locusts.
Yeah.
And I realized that the insurance companies in Florida have almost no regulation, despite a guide with a lot of regulations in the state. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of bad actors on our side down here as well.
Sure, yeah,
Florida
absolutely.
is a cesspool of unethical public adjusters and policyholder attorneys, and that has made my job a lot harder. But I do have the Hurricane Ian show down here where we're able to inform people and tell stories about things that are going on here after the storm. And I want to be able to give people resources for the next few years as this continues, because although the national media cycle cared about this storm for somewhere between 10 and 14 days before
Yeah.
it fell out of the headlines,
Yeah.
the people here are going to deal with it for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and they're
Right.
going to need a trustworthy source of information that's
Yes.
going to help them.
Yeah.
So, what is your plan moving forward for that for the Hurricane Ian show? I mean, do you anticipate closing that down? Do you want it to morph into something else? Do you want to keep it going? What's your plan there?
You know, right now I'm just planning for it to be its own standalone thing that I will wrap up at some point. Hopefully I'll be there for long enough to help these people through their recovery. But this is the 7th hurricane that we've worked.
Mhm.
Paradise deployed to Hurricane Florence in 2018. That was the first one. Then Hurricane Michael, we worked that in Albany, Georgia. Hurricane Dorian in 19. Laura in 20. Delta in 20. Ida in 21, and then we're here now. And, you know, I have a young family. There have been a lot of challenges with chasing hurricanes, and I don't think that I want to chase another one to the extent of the way we've done these last few.
Right. It's such a commitment. It is. I mean, when you plug in and do it. So, I know that you guys are in Florida now. I know that you have.
Is that a permanent move?
Yeah, that's exactly my question.
Oh.
That's exactly my question.
I believe it is. So my oldest daughter was born in Pensacola in 2008. After I'd sold my fencing business in Fort Worth, we moved to Pensacola. I started another business there called Pensacola Pet Doors. And we lived there for a while and then moved back to Texas and did some other things. And then I went back to school using the GI Bill to become a missionary pilot. And I went to school in East Texas and then transferred down to Palm Beach State in about 2010 or 11. And so we lived down here on the east coast of Florida near West Palm Beach for a while. So we've lived in Florida a few times in the past.
Yeah.
We ended up back in Dallas because of the economy, trying to build a construction business. And we've been kind of stuck there for 10 years. So this is a very welcome move back down here to a little warmer climate.
Oh, gotcha.
I was like, we just met them, and they move away.
I've spent a bunch of time in Florida. Not for. I mean, I've spent a bunch of time in Florida for claims, but I also spent a bunch of time. I was in the extreme sports space, and so I was down there for wakeboarding, and I had like an apartment in Orlando, and so I worked in the extreme sports space and had a website that kind of covered the sport, and it was a media outlet and that kind of thing, and that was a lot. I really enjoyed. I loved Florida. Now, when I was there for Michael, I was there for 4 months for Michael, working with a roofer, and it was that was not enjoyable because the part of Florida I was in was not like the Palm Beach part of Florida. It was more of the.
It was Kentucky. I call it Kentucky Junior.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Panhandle is the deep south, and
Yep.
South Florida is like like the Northeast.
Completely, yeah. It's completely different cultures. It's crazy, but PCB is really pretty. But I was in Bristol, which was about an hour. I guess it was about an hour west of PCB is where it was, and living there was one restaurant to eat at.
It was the Dollar General.
Oh my gosh! I was walking across the street to the Dollar General to get frozen meals, and that's kind of where I was bunked up at. That's where the roofing office was. So that was, gosh. Anyway,
Those are bad. He was gone for 4
moving
months.
forward, after the new year, I actually have to fly back to Dallas every week for the first 11 weeks of next year to attend some meetings for NTS. You're familiar with NTS, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, name that shingle. Yeah, absolutely.
So
I want one of those shirts.
Thank you. That's a lot of my focus moving forward too. So I'm doing a little bit of the media stuff, a little bit of public adjusting, and then working on continuing to grow NTS into whatever it's going to become.
Awesome. Are you getting a lot of traction with NTS?
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's been great. We just rolled out a new website and software that we've spent $200,000 in 9 months developing.
Wow.
And that's going to allow us to continue to expand the different products that we're offering. We're adding tile. And we've noticed that our reports are most valued by public adjusters and attorneys because a roofer sends it in and the insurance company can just say, we don't accept that. But a public adjuster, an attorney is like, no, I don't care if you accept it. This is me proving that this product's not available.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to go on to the proper repair scope.
Yeah.
And this storm especially is going to be probably going to have more public adjusters than any other storm in history by percentages of claims. So I think that there's a lot of growth potential in Florida for NTS over the next couple of years.
We need to go to commercial. I sent you the
I'll drop it in later.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. I don't have it in front of me. I couldn't do it, but
I sent it to you.
I don't have it in front of me. So,
Whatchamacallit?
huh?
It's right in front of you.
I don't see it.
It's
Just let's move on. So, anyway, no, so on the NTS side of things, I have heard that a lot where they try to turn it in and they're getting some pushback and all those kinds of things. And I love what you said. It's like, as a public adjuster, we're here to prove the loss. That's what we're here to do. And I think it's really interesting that pushback even exists and how it's, because that can be, that's just super frustrating to hear when, it's, I can't even, I don't want to get into it. I would go into a full rant and I'm not going to do that. So, but
the whole industry
here's what we're
is
not
not
going to
functioning as it should function.
Well, yeah, and because I would get ITEL reports that would be different depending on whether or not that report had a claim number on it or not a claim number on it. So ITEL would come back with different information depending on whether or not there was a claim number filled out. So getting something that, because I don't trust it. I mean, I'm going to tell you that. I mean, I don't trust ITEL. You can't, and I've been using ITEL for years, and I've gotten such different, what they say is available isn't available. I always roll my eyes at that. So
I have a question.
Yeah, and
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, Donna?
Oh, I was just going to ask about you were doing you were filming something about like deep sea diving or something, or fishing,
Okay.
or what was that?
So I sold my roofing company in 2018. We went and did a hurricane, and then in 2019, we were able to kind of relax
Chill.
and breathe a little bit. We had bought a house up in the mountains of New Mexico back in 2016. So we went up there with your family, and I went and bought a brand new fleet of four-wheelers and side-by-sides. And we went looking for a treasure that had been hidden in the Rocky Mountains by an art dealer several years before. And it was very public. And
You've written a book, like it's supposed to be the treasure map. It's a book, and you have to decipher it and try to figure out where the treasure's.
3 searchers had died looking for
Oh my
it in
God.
the Rocky Mountains. So we took the whole family up there and filmed a reality TV show pilot of our family looking for this treasure.
Cool.
And we actually got some response online from a producer that worked for TLC, and we were looking at maybe developing a reality show out of it. And then COVID hit,
Yeah.
which shut down that entire industry. And then we went to Lake Charles in, September. And while we were in Lake Charles, somebody found that treasure in the Rocky Mountains.
Dang it.
Oh, wow.
So we want to revive this idea,
Yeah.
but this time we're looking at scuba diving for sunken Spanish treasure in the Florida Keys.
Is the whole family going to do that too?
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
so we're
cool.
all going to get scuba certified. We've been working with some people that are going to be a part of the whole production.
We have a few real-life treasure hunters that are
going to
willing to
help
come on
us
board.
kind of find some spots and maybe share some of the salvage rights that
And that's
people have.
this is part of the reason that I'm doing the Hurricane Ian show down here, just to learn more and experience more of the video and directing and media, so that maybe this is a project I can get off the ground next year.
Cool. I have some I have some possible name suggestions for your show.
Okay.
Hear me out. Okay, so where in the world? You like that one?
I like that.
The Wayward Wares. I like that one. And then Be Aware.
being Ware.
That's actually really good. I like all of those.
So if you use
Those are
those,
good.
I would like to be compensated.
I think Where in the World is my favorite.
Yeah.
I would have to go with
I
that.
I like the wayward wares.
Where in the World?
Yeah.
I'm a diver, so I love to
That's
scoot.
awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
you need to come and guest on the diving show.
Yep.
then.
Oh, I would.
We'll do that fancy title that's not claims related.
Yeah, don't.
Well,
Yeah.
Actually,
Oh,
claims are a big part of treasure hunting, so I can call you a claim expert, and you can help us search for treasure.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
guess-
That's what. Yeah, I'm a master diver. I have scuba dived in really. I mean, like all over the place. South Africa. I have scuba dived. Obviously, Belize, Rotan, Honduras, Turks and Caicos, Bahamas, all over Florida. You know that kind of thing. I love scuba diving. Are you both
Never
certified now? Have you ever scuba dived before?
We're not. We've done a lot of free diving.
You don't. Okay.
Yeah, in the Keys, shallower stuff. So a friend of mine who's kind of in the insurance restoration industry, he has a place in Rotan, and he's done a little bit of treasure hunting himself, and so he's going to get us certified. He's an instructor. He's going to get us certified here in Cape Coral, and I think we're going to try to video all of that and work that into our episodes, as we develop the show.
Man, that is what a great idea.
Yes.
That is I will watch that without a doubt. I will. So I mean, I love that kind of stuff. And I also know you. So
Yeah.
I mean,
And
there's that part.
He's been really interested in fishing lately for some reason. So yeah.
Well, we love fishing. So y'all come down and we'll make some fishing episodes too.
Cool.
Yeah, I would love to come make fishing episodes with you guys. That sounds like a great time.
Well, you may have the idea that we're enjoying life on the canals here in Cape Coral, and that is the truth.
Cool. You guys look like you're having a lot of fun. I'm jealous.
We
So-
are, and honestly, we went so hard for 2 years that we need it. We
You
have
deserve
to
it.
slow down. People ask me, they're like, "You must be up to your neck in claims down there." And I said, "Listen, I'm busy, but I'm intentionally not killing myself through this storm because I just don't think that my marriage and my family can handle another big hurricane
Yeah.
like the last two that I've done."
Well, I commend you for that. I really, really do. I mean, just taking a minute, and I mean, and congratulations, by the way. I mean, I think that is probably
Yes.
that is super cool that you guys you've gotten to that point. I mean, that's where I'm headed. You know what I'm saying? I mean, clearly I'm a little bit behind you at this point in time, but that's exactly what we want to do. We've talked about buying a house in New Mexico. She has a son, actually, that lives in Albuquerque, and I think we've kind of got our eyeballs on Santa Fe, really and
Yeah.
truly.
I
love
love
it.
Santa Fe. It's
Santa
such a
Fe's
cool
nice.
town.
Yeah.
I'm a snowboarder, too, so being in Santa Fe and being a snowboarder is not a bad situation to be in. I love to snowboard. I'm primarily more Colorado, but I've done that in a couple of different places too. So,
We should have bought in Santa Fe because you can fly into Santa Fe.
And the downtown area is so cool. Me and the kids go down there and spend the day. It's fun. There's a
Have you
lot
been
of
to
great-
Meow Wolf?
It was closed that day.
Oh, man.
That I was last there.
It's
so we didn't
awesome. They're supposed to be doing one in Grapevine
go.
pretty soon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Great fun.
yeah, the one there in Santa Fe is like, I don't know. I mean, if you don't know what it is, basically Meow
Hard to
Wolf.
describe it. Yeah,
It's installation art is what it is. It's full
it's
experience.
all
It's
interactive.
immersive installation art. So you're like climbing around and walking around in the exhibit. Like there's all of the, and none of it makes sense.
Yeah.
I could tell you what it is, but none of it makes any kind of sense. And it's got all these different little worlds, and you can walk through a door and you're in this completely different installation.
or you're in a house. Like the whole thing starts in a house, and then it's got
and there's
tunnels to places. It's just awesome.
There's clues. I mean, I highly
Your kids will love it. It's
Yeah,
That's
awesome.
really cool.
I had taken them down there, but it was closed that day.
Yeah.
You should, if
I'm
you
a
ever
bit
get
of an
back there.
An art junkie myself, which is what was cool about being close to Fort Worth. There's great museums
Yeah.
and exhibits there, which we've had a little bit less of down here in Southwest Florida. There's not quite the culture down here that there is in some of the bigger cities. But
Well,
anytime I can see something like that, that's cool.
I'm kind of an art junkie too. I mean, I have. Like I have you, I don't know if you've ever been to the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, Florida, but
we've heard of it. That's a plan. We want to go up there.
okay, so it's the castle for the Russian Tsar. That's basically what it was, the winter castle for the Russian Tsar, and they've converted it into a museum.
Did you
and
say St. Petersburg, Florida?
no, I'd say Petersburg, Russia. I'm sorry, St. Petersburg, Russia.
I heard that, and I was like, did he say Florida?
Sorry.
I was just starting to think, like, the Russians built St. Petersburg.
That's what I
Florida? That makes sense.
did not know that.
No, I'm sorry, St. Petersburg, Russia. It was the Tsar. It was the Tsar's winter castle, is basically what it was.
Oh,
and
wow.
then when communism took over, they converted it into a museum. And I'm telling you what, TJ, if you're really and truly an art hound, I mean, it's 2 days.
Oh wow!
It's 2 days.
And he reads everything.
I mean, I spent 8 hours in the Metropolitan Museum in New York. That's just the way I am. And they don't like, I mean, I'll go to a museum and Donna will tell me, it's like, we're going for the kids. So you're not going to stand and read every plaque.
Unless
Unless
you're going to read it out loud so I can hear.
Without him, because he'll stand there and read all of it and see all the things. And we're like, yeah, we're on our way.
Well, I'm learning stuff I didn't know. I mean, I can
with
tell
the
you all about
family-
fracking because I stopped and read it.
Yeah, no, I'm a learner too. I enjoy it. With a big family, we didn't have a lot of money. I mean, I don't say we have a lot of money now, but we didn't really have any extra money until 2015, 2016.
Mhm.
So we haven't had a lot of opportunity to travel overseas. And we still want to, and we would like to. Doing it with the entire family, you know, it's going to be $30,000 for every trip that we take,
Well,
so it's not easy.
When we start our new show called Ware in the World, it can spotlight us traveling to Europe, right?
Yeah, absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
awesome.
Good idea.
I have one more art question. Can I ask one more art question? So the one more art question that I have is: did you happen to make it to the Van Gogh
Oh, Jesus.
immersive experience while it was here in Dallas? Did you go to that?
You know, I didn't go to the immersive experience, but at the same time, over at the Dallas Museum of Art, there was an amazing Van Gogh exhibition, Van Gogh in the Olive Groves, that was just world class.
That's where
and
we
I
should have
really
gone.
enjoyed it a lot.
That's where I should
Stay
have
away
gone.
from the other one.
Because if
Really?
It's bad. It's like
That's
It's
what
a-
I've been told.
it's all it is. I mean, if you're into it, all it was digital projection on 4 walls.
The
It was 3 or 4 different
rooms.
rooms.
and it was the same video.
It's
in
the
every
same
room.
video. It's just you're going in there and they hand you this really terrible, like, stadium cushion. There's no chairs. You sit on a concrete floor.
I paid extra for the. I thought I was going to have a seat. That was what I paid extra for the stupid
Oh, for
cushion.
the cushion.
Yeah, it was horrible. And then there's people online saying it was great, and I'm like, you know, it wasn't great. You're just saying that because
I was really disappointed because there was no information about his life. I mean, I
Nothing.
know most of that, right? I know what era he's in, all that kind of stuff. So I'm not, but I was kind of surprised that what a neat way to experience his art sort of all at once. But I thought that they would probably, I would have thought that we would have gotten more information about him.
yeah. And this was a
Well,
birthday
I've heard-
gift for him, and I'll never live it down. It was horrible.
It's
I've
terrible.
heard several people say the same thing you said. But if the DMA still has the Olive Groves Van Gogh exhibit,
Uh-huh.
you should go see that, because the information, when you get the knowledge about the artist, especially Van Gogh, that's what really makes it interesting.
Yeah, and Van Gogh's probably one of my favorites. He's absolutely. I mean, he's one of him, Salvador Dali. I like a lot of surrealism as well. You know what I mean, as opposed to just like neo-impressionism. But I like surrealism a lot. Salvador Dali is one of my all-time favorites. I love him a ton.
I definitely like Dali. Did you ever go to the Kimball in Fort Worth?
I have been to the Kimball a couple of times in Fort Worth. Yes.
The Kimball's amazing, and they have a lot of old master stuff. You know, it's mostly European. Caravaggio, some amazing stuff. What is it?
They've got
Michelangelo's
Cezanne there
birthday.
too.
Cezanne.
They've got some Cezanne. Anyway, I could go
There's
on and
some
on about this.
house-
I'm sorry, I'm taking over. This is not about me. I'm sorry, Donna.
I do have a question. Another
Go.
question.
Shoot.
Does he adjust claims when he's watching TV? Do you like look at damage while you're watching TV?
Well, what do you mean? Like,
Like there's a fight scene and there's all this things are getting broken? Are you just he has it in it like he can't not adjust or he can't not.
Everywhere we go, he's looking at roofs.
Yeah,
like,
him too.
Everywhere, like, oh, look at that.
Well, so we've watched on Netflix or Hulu or one of those streaming services several different times about and it's period stuff that's set back in the 70s, right? It's set back in the 70s, and I'll look up and I'll see laminate shingles with shingle over style ridge vent on it.
I always do that.
And he'll be upset. He'll be like, "This is not authentic at all."
No. Of course, me and 3 other people that are watching this notice that. I mean, you know what I mean?
A strongly worded letter to the director.
Yeah,
and in the 1940s, they have a grounded plug. You're like, no.
No, that doesn't work. So now, are you ready to spin the wheel?
Let's spin the wheel.
Are you ready to spin the wheel?
Spin the wheel of games. I need to figure out a name for this segment. I was thinking Games of Thrones since it sounds awesome, but it's misleading, so it's not called that. Right now, it'll be just the Wheel of Games.
Yeah, we're just going to spin the wheel and see what happens.
Okay, so let me see. We will spin the wheel.
High-tech sound effects. What did we get?
5 favorites.
5 favorites. 5 favoritos.
Yeah, who are your 5 favorite kids?
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm
it
kidding.
depends on the day.
If a plane were crashing, which one would you put the mask on first? That's all I'm asking.
That's
So our favorite kids of ours, because I was hoping we could pick someone else's kid.
No, I was kidding. I just wanted to ask you guys that to see your reaction. Let's play Would You Rather.
Would you rather? I happen to have some very interesting would you rathers, and so we are going to get into that.
My kids love this game, but they ask me the most horrible things, like, would you rather your head fall off or your guts explode?
Oh, so you know this. So you're prepared for this, right?
I'm like, how about neither?
You have to pick one.
I'm trying to find. I really.
Like, two.
Well, while you're looking for it, I'm going to ask, would you rather have feet for hands or hands for feet?
Well, hands for feet, of course.
Feet for hands.
Or hands for feet. Hands for feet.
Hands,
Can you imagine how bad your hands would stink? That's what I'm throwing up. You know what I mean?
They're
Like,
feet hands.
can you imagine if you got athlete's foot on your hands?
Athletes, but they're your feet. But they look like
Athlete's
I just
What
think
would
all
you
of
call them? They wouldn't be feet anymore, right?
I just see myself fishing with 2 fishing poles now, so I'm happy.
That's exactly. And then I'm going to enter every tree climbing contest I can find.
And you can cover it up because you can wear shoes.
Would you rather be 11 feet tall or 9 inches tall?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
And why?
Is anyone else 9 inches tall, or am I by myself?
What do we want to say?
I can't give you that.
We don't know.
Everybody else is normal.
That information's unknown.
Okay, I'm gonna have to say 11 feet tall.
I would have to go with 11 feet tall and just settle in. I'm never flying on an airplane ever again.
Well, you're already up
Yeah.
there.
So I'm not much over 9 inches tall now.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say that, and I didn't.
I'm more used to it than you might think. So yes, there's other people that would be close in height. Me. So would you rather be in jail for 5 years, or would you rather be in a coma for a decade?
Jail for 5 years.
Jail for 5 years and a coma in a decade. That's funny.
Right?
Y'all knew that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
We talked about that one before.
I really like sleep. I've been trying to catch up on sleep since my 32-year-old was born. So maybe I can get a good nap.
Would
Well,
you?
I will tell you that a coma is not like sleep.
Oh, what is it like?
Because, well, my dad was working for me years ago and had a bad stroke on the job site and was in a coma for 3 weeks. And it's really, really, really bad on your body.
Is
to
it
be
like?
in a coma.
Are you aware? Was he aware of what was going on around him, or just?
Well, no, not then. It's a long story, but I will tell you that even us going in and like moving all of his arms and legs and his joints every day, the toll that it takes on your body.
Yeah.
When you see on a movie when someone wakes up from a coma,
And they're just fine. They
walks
get up
down
and
the
walk around
hallway, no, they're usually paralyzed. Can't even move.
because of the atrophy and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
And your joints will freak up. So
Okay,
Sounds
never mind.
good,
I changed my
but-
mind.
not as good as it
You
sounds.
should go to jail with us.
Yes.
Yeah, just come to jail with
Just
us.
go to.
Well, it'll be me and Jackie. You're on your own, TJ. We'll be in the women's prison.
He's 11 feet tall anyway. He
Oh.
can't fit in jail.
Okay.
Would you rather be forced to sing along or dance to every song you hear?
Sing along.
I'm going to go with sing along.
Sing along? Okay.
What if
She
your
wants
voice
to
was
say
always
music.
super loud? Like where everybody could hear you, like you're yelling. Would you still want
Oh, yeah. I feel sorry for all of y'all.
sing like no one's listening, dance like no one's watching?
I'm trying to find a good. I had a good one here. I want to get.
Dead air.
I'm no. Hang on a second.
Crickets.
He's thinking.
No.
It's Donna Entertainment in the interim.
Would you rather have a personal maid or a personal chef?
Maid. I have 10 kids.
Yeah.
I would pick chef for that reason.
She said both. She doesn't like the rules.
What if you had the maid, but you always had to go out to eat, all of you? You could have your house clean, but you had to eat out all the time.
We've lived that life.
Was it fun?
So when we were in Texas, we had a full-time nanny and a full-time housekeeper. Like full-time, 40 hours a week
Wow.
housekeeper. And still barely keeping them.
Is her name Alice?
Yeah.
Mrs.
Fernanda.
Garrett? Or
Mrs. Garrett.
When we went to Lake Charles, we were working 16-hour days, 7 days a week, me and TJ. So I stopped. I did not cook anything. I was working nonstop. And then when we came back home, we had been remodeling our house too, so our kitchen was gutted. So I didn't cook for a long time then. And I remember making spaghetti for the kids for dinner. First time I've cooked in months. I literally boiled noodles and I used the Prego sauce and kind of added some extra to it. And the kids thought I was a world-renowned chef. They were very impressed.
Good spaghetti. Yeah, I like
So
the
that's
straight out of the jar.
actually,
tuna
just
helper is a
don't
delicacy.
cook for months, and then they love what you make.
Yeah.
You know,
But when they're
it's-
starving,
Yeah, right.
starve them for months, then of course they're gonna like it.
Throw a
Not
bum
that
a
they
ham
weren't
sandwich.
eating. It's just
We
that
didn't
it's
say
like
that.
Uber Eats,
Yeah.
which gets expensive for a family of 12.
Yeah,
Well,
Uber
I
Eats
know
is it's expensive for two.
it's expensive for
Yeah,
two.
crazy.
We do, I mean, because we're by ourselves, we don't cook as much as we should, which isn't a lot anyway. You know what I'm saying? And so we do. I mean, we do a lot of food delivery just because there's two of us, and
Yeah.
and
I'm
but-
lazy. Let's just,
yeah,
let's just call
and-
it what it is.
I mean, and we go to the grocery store about once a quarter, and that's true.
And it's only if we have to, like if people are coming over.
I'm like, oh gosh, we're gonna
Or
have to
if
go to the
it's
grocery
something
store.
we can't
I
get
hate the
delivered.
grocery store. I
Like
just
we have
hate
a
it.
soda
We go-
stream and we
go to,
can't
like,
get the refill.
regular grocery store, and there's normal size mustard and ketchup on the shelf, and my kids think they're miniatures.
Oh,
Because
really?
We buy the Costco or whatever,
Yeah.
so it's like the giant thing of it, and they're like, "What is
Or like
this mini
4 giant
ketchup?"
mustards, the big jars.
How many
We get into
deep?
a pattern of Uber Eats too much, and I'm like, babe, we spent $18,000 on food this month, so we really need to throttle back.
So let me ask you, how many deep freeze? How many deep freezers do you guys have? How many do you have to actually maintain 12
Back
people?
in Texas, we have the real big commercial built-in freezer and fridge,
Uh-huh.
and then two
Two outside fridges
and a deep freeze.
and a deep freeze.
Wow.
So did you have the giant wolf oven that has like 18 burners on it?
I did get a big gas cooktop. I think it has 8 big gas burners.
Yeah, and then a big double oven.
Wolf ovens, yeah, Wolf Range and Wolf, because they have that like that. You'll get them with the infrared grill on the side. I love
I
those,
want
man.
one of those, but I
They're
won't cook.
so
I just want to look at it. I'm not going to cook.
Oh, so cool, so cool. This is the
And
house.
We've usually had like 2 washers and 2 dryers that are running all the time as well.
Wow.
I bet.
Make sure you clean that lint filter.
I know.
So,
That's
well,
why I don't do laundry because I'm afraid of that.
well, guys, I do you have anything else?
I wanted to know if you homeschooled.
Oh,
We
that's
do.
you
You
do. Do you teach
Yep.
them, Jackie?
So, no.
Some.
My kids are super independent. We've raised them to be very independent. So they're also independent learners. we've done a homeschool program where they go 1 day a week, and then the rest of the time they're at home, and they bring all their work and projects home.
Mhm.
So I help them when they need help with something. If they can't find it or figure it out, then we help them. But I don't stand up there and play or anything like that.
Mhm.
That's what I tried to do when we first started homeschooling, when our older ones were little. And I had a lady tell me one time, you don't have to recreate public school at home.
Yeah.
You can do learning how your kids learn best.
Yeah.
And so we've kind of embraced that.
And
Especially
also,
their
like
older
when we're
ages.
traveling, I will use a lot of different experiences as an opportunity to teach several different subjects to the kids. And I think that it sticks with them better when you're in Washington, D.C., and you're learning about history
Yeah.
and math and science, and economics and government, and all of these things hands-on. So we do travel a lot around the country with the kids and do a lot of education through our travel.
And they're learning a lot about the laws and stuff because you're going to Washington, D.C. and all that.
Sure, and they've been very involved with our businesses. I mean, even the little ones. We go to the conferences. We take all the small kids. We take everyone. We make sure that they're immersed in that environment.
Yeah.
And we've noticed that it's rubbed off on them a lot because my older three, they've made more money out here than I have.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So Asher's your oldest, right?
Yep.
And
He's awesome.
is he still at home, or is he? What are his plans? Because he must have just finished school not too long ago, right?
Yeah, he just graduated last year, or back in the spring. I think
Yeah.
he graduated in spring.
Right.
And he's been working for Paradise Claims. Down here, he's working for a roofing company right now, selling roofs. He's real entrepreneurial. He's got a serious girlfriend, and they are living with us right now because
At the housing situation. So they bought a Smithville and gutted it and remodeled it and redid it all. And so they were living in that, but he wanted to have that to hook to his truck to deploy to wherever a storm hit. It was his idea.
So he's going into adjusting, is what he's going into. Oh, okay.
I think so.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I see a little bit of his social media stuff. I mean, not a lot. I mean, I'm not cyber stalking him or anything, but I've seen I kind of got when I first met Asher was at y'all's house, when you had that event for Cal or whatever. And I thought that I must have completely made this up or whatever, that he was into videography and stuff like that and filming and that kind of thing. But
he was probably filming there.
I've kind of tried to push them to do some of that to help us, but he's a trailblazer just like me. So he's going to want to run his own thing, and I see him as being more of a management and maybe sales and business development type
Gotcha.
person.
Did you have your older
Gotcha.
kids do the strength finders and stuff like that? How did they?
Oh, yeah.
Did they like it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been great. It's
super
been
helpful as
very
parenting.
enlightening.
We've learned our kids are similarly wired to Julie and myself in certain ways, and
The older
so
ones.
he's having to learn to kind of back off and give the boys some space to thrive, so that they're not stuck under him, all the time.
Yeah.
They're able to become their own person.
I think that's so awesome. My son's 18 and he graduates this coming year. He turned 18 back in September, and I was talking with him just this past weekend and just saying, my heart for you, son, is to be entrepreneurial. That is what I'm always going to push you towards because that's what's worked for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
But whatever it is that you choose or pick, because he is going into like audio sciences or whatever, and he's a musician. He's incredibly talented. His name's Levi, and he is super smart, very talented. All the years, his entire childhood has kind of been overcast with what's called non-idiopathic short stature. And so he was basically, his bone age was like 2 years behind what his actual age was. So when he was 10, he looked 8 when he was, and that kind of thing. And so he has had, his own sort of struggle, as far as it goes to like playing sports or stuff like that, because he's just been smaller and slower and weaker than the other kids just because his body wasn't up to speed. And he was short. He had fallen off the growth chart, completely and totally fallen off the growth chart. And we got him on human growth hormone, and he he's almost as tall as I am now, which it's like that I know how to parent. You know what I mean? That I can work with. So, but he's going into audio sciences is what he's going into to figure out. He may even go into the biomedical side of it all. You know what I mean? And figuring out how to get into that. So
that's really interesting.
Yeah,
and listen, there are a few better businesses than biotech or tech in general, because they're so scalable and so much money is spent on both those products and the research and development.
Yep. Well, guys, thank you so much for spending the last hour with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate Jackie and TJ coming out. Thank you so much, guys, or coming on the show, whatever you want to say. So I really do appreciate you guys joining us today. It has been a fun conversation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks
for having us.
We'll have to do it again sometime.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Well, guys, that'll do it for the Pain of the Claim. That was it.